So I'm here with Bill Farmer, a very iconic, talented actor. He's provided the voices for many beloved characters, not just in the gaming world, though, film, television, you name it. I think it's fair to say Goofy's probably your most recognizable character, Bill. But, it is 30 years of Sam and Max Hit the Road, the LucasArts adventure game. So we're going to talk a bit about playing Sam in that game as well.
Absolutely.
But Bill,
Yeah.
thank you so much, first of all, for agreeing to do this.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, as you say, yeah, Goofy is definitely the big dog
Yeah.
in the repertoire, and Pluto's up there too, which I've voiced for as long as I've done Goofy and many other ones. Probably about 40 some. Just on Mickey and the Roadster Racers, a series we had, I did probably 40 some incidental voice characters over the life of that series.
Wow.
And so, yeah, you always get to do it too. Two or three extra ones once in a while,
Yeah.
and it adds up after
I
37 years almost.
Oh
So
my goodness. Amazing stuff. And there's just been a wealth of characters that you've done. As you said, there are these ones that stand out, but I think quite a few that people won't realize you did as well. And I definitely want to have a bit of a chat with you about those too. But I mean,
sure.
let's start off with you getting into this business. I know you like to do impressions as a kid
Right.
when you were growing up in Kansas. Did you have any favorite impressions that you like to do?
Oh gosh, there were so many at the time. This is a long time ago, so probably no one knows these voices. But a lot of the TV shows were westerns at the
Mm.
time and movies. So, well, of course, John Wayne was one of the early ones that I did, just walking around the house. In Walter Brennan, a lot of character actors. It's sort of a great thing. And I am Jimmy Store was a great one as well. And any voice on TV I would try and pick up. I think the first television star was Don Adams of Get Smart, who went on to play Inspector Gadget on
Oh,
as a cartoon
yeah,
character.
yeah, I remember that.
And so I would go around the house just kind of doing these voices, never thinking that it would turn into anything. It was just kind of for joking around and things like that. And as I got older, I kind of added to the repertoire and thought, "Oh, maybe this could be a career of some kind," because I remember very vividly the first time I really ever gave thought to doing something in show business was at a movie. It was one of those old Sinbad things. Ray Harryhausen did
Mm.
the animation. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad was the name of the movie. And it had Cyclops in it and dragons and skeletons and stuff. And I just thought, wow, what a great world. There's people that get to do this for a living. And so in the back of my head, I always wanted to do that. But it seems like a million miles away from Kansas and Hollywood. So I didn't think I'd ever have a shot. But the way things worked out, yes. And now I'm celebrating, well, January 23rd, it'll be 27, not 37 years of doing Goofy's voice after
Wow.
the audition in December of 1986.
And is it right in saying that was Goofy was your first character audition?
Not character audition, but definitely a big one. I had done a couple of commercials, just kind of character voices, but a big, especially classic characters, that was by far the first
Mm.
and the biggest. And it came so rapidly after I came to Hollywood. I didn't really think of it that much. In other words, it was just an audition
Yeah.
for one job. It wasn't for like the role of a lifetime, which it became. It was just for one particular show. And that's the way Screen Actors Guild kind of works. Every job I do is a new contract. Even today, after 37 years, I'm not a Disney employee and never
Yeah.
have been. I am an independent contractor. And so I've worked for Universal, Sam and Max, LucasArts, all sorts of different characters and studios through the years and many, many movies. But Goofy's definitely the big dog.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just a great. I think it just gives people a lot of joy. That character and the voice that obviously creates that character really and brings him to life. Can you remember what you had to do for the audition for him?
Yeah, I got a cassette tape of the original voice, Pinto Colvig,
Yes.
and a lot of the lines that he did in the classic cartoons from the 1930s and 40s, like from the movie or cartoon Lonesome Ghost. I think I had to say something that he had said, like, "Well, I know you. You're a ghost." And maybe sing a little song like "Oh, the world owes me a living, and just various lines that Goofy had said throughout his early career in the 1930s and 40s, and I just had to match it as close as I could. I only got a weekend to practice it. I got it on a Friday. I think I auditioned on a Monday, and it was about a month later they called and said, "Yeah, we'd like to use you for that one job." I didn't have the job, locked in by any
Right.
means.
Okay.
I was trying not to get my hopes up too much. I hope this thing would last.
So, okay, so at that point they said we want you for this one job. At what point did they say that's it? You are going to be Goofy. This is it.
I'm still waiting on that officially. They just kept calling me. And it just kind of, after about, okay, 2 or 3 years of doing this, I figure, well, maybe I do have a job. And our first series came along, which was called Goof Troop. And that was around 1989 or 90. And once I got the series as the voice of Goofy, I thought, okay, this might be more of a permanent thing than I thought. And from there, it just kept on going. And now I've done close to 4,000 jobs over the last 37 years, is a very
Wow.
rough guess, something like that. And so I think I do have the job now.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say. Congratulations, Bill. You've got the
Yeah.
job. um, can you remember the Sam and Max audition much? Was it just you had to say a couple of lines, you sent that over to some people, or how did that
Yeah,
work?
that was different than Goofy because Goofy was an established character. It goes back to
Yes.
1932. Sam was this detective dog. I seem to have a thing for dogs.
Yes.
And so he's a detective, and I was thinking to myself, what kind of voice would I give him? And I was thinking, well, he's kind of a detective, and I thought of the old Humphrey Bogart movies, and oh, that's right, sweetheart, that sort of a thing. But the writing was so wonderful, and the jokes were so wonderful. I thought, well, who really tells jokes well? Because I'm going to have to do a lot of one-liners. And I was thinking of the late night host on The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And Johnny Carson had kind of a nasal Nebraska voice. And the answer is, And so I kind of put the two together. And it was kind of a mix of Humphrey Bogart and Johnny Carson. And I had to say all sorts of things like, that's a completely unusable thingamabob. All right, Sam, let's go. Or Max, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sam as well. I mean, did you have any idea what he looked like, what the world was going to look like, or was it, because I know obviously when you're putting your voice to these kind of things, sometimes you have very little to go off really to create these
Most
characters.
of the time, it's very little. Sam was and Max. There were Sam and Max
Yes.
comic books at the time, and so I did have that too as a reference. Okay, he's got a tie, kind of a blue coat. He's got, and the hat especially was kind of like a Humphrey Bogart hat from that period, the 40s. So that's kind of why I leaned into that style of a read, and they liked that, and it was a delight. And I'm so honored that I got to be his original voice. And right out of the bat, it was different recording that particular series because, as I remember, we did that down in Hollywood, and I can't remember the name of the studio. And oh, my dog's going off. My son.
So you are a dog person then? I was going to ask.
There's Pluto. I can throw my voice, but so we went down, and I just did this, just sitting on a chair, and they would read a line, and I had a script with the lines, and I just recorded maybe 4 or 5 times, not even really in a good studio. It was kind of out in an office,
Yeah.
more than anything, and which happens once in a while. But I just did the lines over and over a few times, and okay, let's go on to the next line. And as far as how the game was played or the story of it, I really didn't have a clue because I wasn't hearing the other actors or lines, and the lines don't necessarily match from one to the next. They're disjointed, they're out of sync, and so I couldn't really get a story. I just did the lines, and until I saw the game, I had no idea what the whole thing was going to be about.
And it's quite a confusing game anyway. There's a lot of strange things going on. So were you
There
thinking,
are.
what is this game that I'm putting the voices to?
Yeah, and that, like some of the other things that I do, I did about 5 or 6 characters in that
Yes.
game. I know I did.
I think there's a
one of
mole man or something you do.
the mole man. I think I said things like, "Why do all you squishy, poorly focused blobs say that?" And there was a higher kind of voice like this, who was this Snuckies or whatever it was, kind of the drive-in place, and we give clues throughout the thing. And I would Flambe the Fire Eater and just a couple of other little characters, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm very honored. Up in my hall, I have a nice thing from Steve Purcell, who said, who created Sam and Max, and said, "Thanks for giving Sam his voice." So that was nice, and it was a well-written show. Still holds up today.
Did you ever get to meet Steve at all? Because I'm guessing most
Yes,
of the
I
time.
did.
Yeah, you did. Oh,
because
great.
he actually worked for Disney later on, and I think I met him at an event, and that's when I got the picture from him, which is like the box of Sam and Max with his little inscription on it. So, and that was great. And I love doing that.
I know when you were recording, obviously you weren't with Nick Jameson, who voices Max, which is obviously quite
Not
common.
in the first game, but we actually started a second game.
Yes.
It was Sam and Max Hit the Road was the first one. Sam and Max Freelance Police, which kind of got pulled in the middle of it. And I knew Nick, and from just seeing him around, or he'd come in after me and we'd chat between sessions and stuff. I don't remember actually recording with him, except maybe one time in the second game, which unfortunately was really funny, but never got released. Yeah. We were doing each other's characters. In other words, our brains got switched. So I was doing my best, Max, and he was doing his best Sam, which is really, really a fun bit, which I would have liked to have seen come to fruition.
I remember that. I remember it's a shame, and I know you've said in another interview that you kind of didn't even, you recorded the lines and you didn't know what happened to it. And then suddenly you look online and they've said, oh, it's been cancelled, which must have been a bit of a...
Yeah, I did not know. I thought, well, I ought to be doing another Sam and Max session for this. It's been like a couple of months or so, and they're taking their sweet time. And then I found out from online and the fans that, oh, it's been canceled. Well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, isn't it? It's a shame though, because I think it would have been great to have seen what they would have done with it. Obviously, they did go on to do other things with Sam and Max.
If you want to see Goofy's dog,
yes. Oh, hello. What's his name? Is his name
Skipper.
Pluto?
This is Skipper. We've only had him about a month, so he's still a puppy.
I'll try not to speak him.
He's like got tons of energy.
That's so cute. Do you have any other dogs as well?
We have another dog here. It's my son's dog named Pepper, who is playing with Skipper now. But no, right now, just one dog.
Oh, bless.
But I've always had a dog here. And matter of fact, for Disney, we had a show called It's a Dog's Life. Yes. Because of my love of a live action show that I hosted and helped produce and sold to Disney, did the whole thing. So I love dogs.
Yeah, same.
Animated and real.
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, well, he's very sweet. He's very cute. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I guess, yeah, with Freelance Police, after that happened, obviously they've had lots of iterations of Sam and Max since then. Was that it? Did you ever hear from them again about potentially doing something, or was that kind of it after that?
The reason that they did that, they went up and recorded their first television show in Canada, and I was so upset that I didn't even get a call to even audition for it. But it's a Screen Actors Guild thing. That was a non-union show out of the country. I could not actually work for them, because they were saving money or whatever they were doing. But they decided to go non-union on that. and I can't do non-union shows.
Yeah.
And it was as simple as that. And so unfortunately, I would have loved to have continued the character because he's great, but they've never come back with a union one that I know of. So,
well, I mean, I've got to ask the question. If they did ever bring the sort of the Sam Max IP back to life again, would you be interested in taking up the role again, or are you kind of happy with the time you got to spend with it and leave it at that?
okay, I've got to put a. I'm going to throw a phone. You might hear a ring
Yeah,
or
that's
anything.
fine. Don't worry.
I'm in the wrong room
This
today.
isn't the first interview where people
Of
have got
course, I
their
would
pets.
love to. I thought it was a brilliant character. It was written great, and the writing was so smart and so fun. So I would do it definitely if I got a chance to do that again.
I think you're right. It is just a great character that Steve Purcell has created, and that whole world as well. I'm
Yeah.
interested, as you said, because in Hit the Road, you obviously it's just you, but you're having to bounce off Max quite literally sometimes, but quite a lot.
Right.
How do you do that as an actor? If you are just recording on your own, how do you get into that role, and how do you sort of make it sound as if you are speaking to another
Yeah.
person and they're in the same room as
That
you?
was very unique at that time when we did Sam and Max. And that was really one of the first games I did. I did a couple of other was for LucasArts, and I can't even remember the name of them. But the games worked like that, where it would be kind of a solo. Television at that time was 24-track recording tape. And so my first series, Goof Troop, we were all in the studio at the same time. We did it like a radio play. Today, with nonlinear editing and everyone's schedule being what it is, we can get Mickey on Monday and Goofy on Tuesday, and so then they'll edit it together. It's the way it is. You just have to know the character so well, and to get into the story, really, it's kind of just really immerse yourself in that story. And all I've got to know is like how far away the characters are, more physicalities. Okay, what kind of a space are they enclosed with? For example, if I'm saying to Mickey, come on, Mickey, let's go outside. Well, I don't know, where are they? What are they doing? If they say, oh no, Mickey's 20 feet away, I would have to, change my my read. Hey, Mick, let's go outside, a little louder and stuff. And then I say, oh, okay, by the way, the house is on fire. Okay, that's it. Come on, Mick, let's get out of here. That would totally dictate how you play the line. It's the emotion of the line and the situation in that particular moment that dictates how you do it. And if the more you can make that real, and that's just really with practice, you kind of learn how to inhabit that character in your mind just for those lines and get into it. And the more you can get into it, the more you can live what the character's living and experience, and the lines just sound better when you do it that way.
I mean, are there still elements of Goofy's character or things that you say that still surprise you about his character even after all these years?
It evolves, especially when we did a Goofy movie. He evolved a lot when we got to a Goofy movie, because before that, he's pretty silly, Mickey's friend, but he was kind of the silly one. In a Goofy movie, now he was worried about his son Max getting into trouble. So there were layers of emotion that we had to add to him that we'd never done before. So that kind of changed him a little bit. It rounded him out. It made him more of a fuller character and like a real dad. And so, I was just thinking of my son, who was 5 years old at the time, kind of putting him in Max's role. And what would I say if my son was doing this and getting in trouble and potentially getting in trouble? And that helped me a lot with the finding the sweet spot on that character, and still keeping it goofy was the hard part, because these were new things that we'd never done with the character. And how do you make Goofy sad? How do you make him, kind of worried, and these kind of things? But if you just feel the emotions push the words out, kind of. And the more you can do that, the better the voice acting is going to be.
And you had to sing a bit in that film as well, didn't you?
Oh, yes. A lot of people don't know. Oh, yeah, we sing all the time. I have a show on now, Mickey Mickey Mouse Fun House. We sing in that. We've probably done, and just regular albums from the cassette
Of
days to
course,
now.
right, yeah.
We've probably done about 20 to 30 albums. So yes, we do get to sing quite often as the characters. But luckily you don't expect Goofy to sing that well anyway.
No,
So it makes
that's
it
true.
easy for me.
Is there a favorite song you've had to sing?
Oh gosh. I remember we did a Christmas album many years ago that was a whole lot of fun, and I had to sing I'd Like to Have an Elephant for Christmas. That was a fun one. The most recent album, we did old standard hits like from Dean Martin. I had to sing Ain't That a Kick in the Head, and Why's Everything Happened to Me, things like that. And it's fun taking those old classics and kind of giving them the little Disney character spin.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it just it must be a lot of fun to be doing that. I remember you in an interview you said previously that voice acting though isn't just about funny voices, which I definitely
Right.
agree with, but it's about the acting. And I'm kind of interested. I think I get what you mean by that, but I'd be interested to know just in your words, what if you expand on that, what you kind of mean by
Yeah.
that.
And that was first taught to me when I came out to Hollywood. I wanted to take some acting lessons. And someone said, well, why don't you call Dawes Butler? Now, Dawes Butler at the time was probably as well known as Mel Blanc for the Hanna-Barbera characters, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, on television, Captain Crunch, about 40 some major things. He did stuff on the Flintstones and about everything that Hanna-Barbera did. And he was this great guy, and he let us go over to his house for 3 hours on a Wednesday night and like read scripts, and he would kind of give us tips and everything. And his regular voice was kind of like Captain Crunch. You'd call him up and you'd say, oh, Bill, come on over, it's only $10, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And we'd go over there and he'd give us these scripts, and he would really emphasize that it's not about the voice. The voice is not premier. It's not voice acting. It's voice acting. It's the acting is the important part. The voice will come. That's more of a technical thing, but the emotional thing and what drives the words out are the emotions, the situation of what's going on. I mean, it's not, you can get louder at someone and, hey, get off the couch. You can yell, but you don't have to. You can still get that emotion out by saying, get off the couch. Just, you can do it in a different way and still get that emotion to come out and help sell the scene. And I think my dog just got off the couch.
I was going to say the dog definitely would have reacted to that. In that case, obviously, because you'll have had to worked with lots of sort of performance directors, voice directors over the years. What advice and tips would you give to them on how to work with voice actors? Is there an example you have of where that's gone really well with the director, or maybe another one where not so well?
Yeah, it's a very similar to stage acting.
Mm.
There are different styles of acting and different techniques. I did 7 years of stand-up comedy before I got into voice acting out here. Stage acting is very similar to voice acting in that on stage, well, they can see you, so your movements are a little grander, so the people in the back rows can see you. You're a little bit more demonstrative. You're a little bit louder, and you kind of push the emotions a little bit more so it carries to the back. That's kind of the amount of extra you have to give to voice acting because they don't see you. It's all in your voice. That has to carry the whole thing. The animation certainly helps later on when they animate these things, but sometimes it feels like you're almost overacting and you're going too far. But when you see it, it's like they say that a camera adds 10 pounds. A microphone takes off 10 pounds or 10% of your energy. So you have to make up for it by pushing it a little bit more. That's what I would tell, a director on how to handle that.
Yeah.
And I'd heard a story that was kind of interesting about, and I think it was Michael J. Fox who was doing a cartoon show, and he was doing all his lines and everything. And he felt like they were trying to get him to push a little bit more. And he said, "Oh, I think this is right in the spot." And then he came out to listen to it, and he goes, "Oh, I am so sorry. I totally underplayed that." And he went back in and re-recorded the lines and gave it more and hit it right on the money, because film cameras, with a camera right in your face and you're 40 feet tall on a big movie screen, a little movement, a little wink of the eye or something like that can change the whole dynamics, and it's more powerful. Whereas a microphone without the visual, you got to make up for that lack of visual by adding a little bit more to the voice work.
If you like this video, consider dropping it a like and me a subscribe. It really helps me out. And is there a difference when you're doing that for games than other mediums, or is it quite similar?
Yeah, one of our popular games that we've done is Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
And it's in many ways similar to Sam and Max in that the script is like this thick, it's thousands of lines. And that game was originally done they always do it in Japan first, and then we're adding the English words, which is kind of backwards from the way we normally do stuff. And it's already animated. So I'm seeing the animated Goofy, and I have to put the English words in the same amount of time and length on the screen that the Japanese actor did his lines. And the difference of the two languages sometimes, and the Japanese Goofy, he would talk a little faster. So sometimes I'd have to clip along a little bit to get all the words in the same amount of time. So it can be a technical challenge, but it's also the same with Sam and Max in that we jump around so much from page to page, and I don't know what the story is. I don't know what's going on. And with the people at home doing one thing, and it might take you to a different line of dialogue, or if they go this way, they'll get a different set of dialogue. I never know what's before, what's next. It's kind of okay, I'm lost, until you see the game and you go, oh, that's what they meant. Okay.
Have you played the Sam Max games then? I'm guessing you have.
Personally, no, but I've seen it played many times.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
to at least make some. I just mean, you're not still
wondering
wondering like, what was that I was talking about? It does make some sense at least.
Yes.
You were talking about, obviously the Japanese Goofy, other Goofies. I'm wondering what it was like seeing other people play Sam in the sense that obviously you kind of were the first voice of this character. Did it feel a bit strange then hearing other people? And what did you think of the other additions?
It makes the character different. The character and the personality that the actor puts into it is different from everyone. That's why Disney's so great in that I've been doing this voice for 37 years almost, and which might be a record in Hollywood. I don't know of anyone that's gone unreplaced for 37 years doing the same character on a regular basis. I don't know of anyone that's done that. But Disney trusted, when they had the auditions back in 1986, one of the reasons was at the time there was 4 or 5 Mickeys, 4 or 5 Goofies, a guy down in Florida doing it in Disneyland for records. But they wanted one voice, so you always heard the same voice and the same personality. And that's why, and they stuck with it like that. Some of the other characters that I've done, a lot of the Warner Brothers characters, Space Jam, things like that, they'll use different actors. They're getting better about it now, and Eric Bauza does a lot of the Warner Brothers characters and does them a wonderful job on that. But they didn't do that when I was doing that kind of stuff. They might have different actors, would have different, there goes the dogs. See, I'll tell them to quit. There you go. They'll quit now. It's Skipper and Pepper are like fighting in there or something. But and now I forgot where I was going with all of it.
I mean, it's a good point to get into. A follower of mine wanted to ask you, what's it like voicing Pluto, of course, who doesn't speak? How do you
Yeah.
do that? That's a completely
But
different
I can do
challenge.
that in all languages, and I can't do
Yes.
that with Goofy. It's like my English Pluto is, if German, French, any
You don't have to
language,
put
it can be
any
worked.
little extra stuff onto it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Or in the early days, with different. And I'll have to show this. This is Pepper. This is my
Oh,
son's
hello,
dog
Pepper.
who's coming over here too, and that's the one that's barking here,
Oh,
aren't you?
wondering what
Yeah,
all the barking's about, probably.
yeah. She is.
Oh,
She's more of a barker.
yeah.
Yes,
Oh, she's so cute.
and okay. Now again, what was I saying? I was talking about.
Just Pluto, yeah, voicing
Oh
Pluto.
yeah, well Pluto and other languages. Yeah, it's early on they actually came to me because they didn't have a division of Disney that does all of these movies and everything around the world. Now they translate them into about 50 some different languages. Well, I can't do 50 languages, so they've got to find people to do all of this. But in the early days, they actually came to me and said, Bill, you're going to have to loop 6 cartoons, replace the English with German. And I don't speak German.
No.
We'll get you someone to teach you. And so they got a professor from the University of Southern California to come up. I don't think she'd ever seen a cartoon in her life. She's like, why is Goofy falling out of the airplane? He is not cute. No, don't worry about it. It's a cartoon. And so we got through this thing. It was like a 10, 12-hour session. And I asked months later, I said, whatever happened with the German cartoons that we did? And they said, well, it was pretty good, but you had an Austrian accent.
Oh.
Okay, I was picking up her accent.
Right.
Now they have more people that go around the world and do this and make it sound good.
Goodness me. So that's because not only if you've got to speak another language, you've got to do it in that Goofy accent, which must have been very difficult.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And since that's more of there are what are called cadence characters and voice characters. And then there's other ones, which I call, like tone and more musical characters like Goofy. Gosh, Goofy's got that ups and downs. But if you can do a falsetto and speak high, you're kind of in the ballpark with Mickey. And whatever you say in any language, buenos dias, it's still Mickey saying that. Whereas if Goofy, buenos dias, you got to put those scoops and valleys in, and it may or may not work in the language properly.
I just love the idea of a German Goofy. I think I'm gonna have to try and find if there's any.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Obviously, as we've been talking about, you've been in lots of video games, Kingdom Hearts, Destroy All Humans, Yakuza. You've obviously done voices outside of video games. Obviously, Pluto, Goofy, Horace Horsecollar. Lots of being in films, Monsters Inc., The Incredibles. Do you have a favorite role outside of Goofy? Maybe one of the sort of smaller ones that you quite like to if you go back
television. Television. We have a show, Amphibia, that has been on Disney Plus, and I play a character named Hop Pop. And Hop Pop's kind of a East Texas sounding frog, and it's a great voice, and I love the show. And he's a delight to voice. But all voices are fun because they're a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun way to make a living too. So it's tough to single out one, but definitely Hop Pop's one of my favorites of little voices that I don't do too often. There was an actor by the name of Pat Buttram who was in a Goofy movie. He played the owner of Lester's Possum Park. And but his voice was like this. He was Gene Autry's sidekick and had that sort of a voice. That's a fun one to do. So whenever I get a chance to do that voice, I love doing it. They're little things, and then there's some very obscure things that people don't know you do. Some of the movies that I've done, like Beauty and the Beast, most people don't think, oh, you're in Beauty and the Beast. What'd you do? None of the main characters. I did what's called the ADR group, was in a group of actors that add a little background characters.
Okay,
For example, in the movie Toy Story, I was the voice of the mission control when they were in the Pizza Planet,
Oh yeah.
saying things like T minus 29, 28, getting ready for launch. And, uh, Monsters Inc. I was some of the little yellow guys that were looking for, oh, he's got a sock on his shoulder, that kind of thing. In Beauty and the Beast, I was Eggs, because in the scene where Gaston is singing about decorating with antlers and all this kind of stuff, he throws 3 eggs up in the air and they go, look, 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 and that was me. I was Eggs. So probably the most obscure thing I've ever done.
Did they is that how you were put in the credits? Just Eggs?
No, I was not. I was just in the additional voices.
Right.
And so, but you don't know what you do until you actually hear it. Several of us, when we actually did that, several of us in the group got to say that line, and later on they picked which one
Right.
they were going to use in the movie, and that was mine. And
Were you listening out like, is that me? Is that me doing the Eggs?
yeah, that happened with the movie Shrek 2. I did an announcer where they were having a party at the castle, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Princess Fiona and Prince Shrek. And my son was with me and said, Dad, that was you. Yeah, I guess it was. I totally forgot. I forgot what I did.
It's a good thing he recognized it.
Yeah, he did. He did. I didn't even recognize my own voice.
Is there a game or a project or anything that you weren't able to do that you wish you had, that you were offered and you just weren't able to do?
There are movies, obviously, that sometimes I was going to be on the ADR group for The Little Mermaid, which is one of my favorite Disney movies. I couldn't do it that day because I was on a trip. Those kind of things, you look back, oh, I would have loved to have been a part of that movie, and there's several other ones over the years, but yeah, Little Mermaid's definitely a classic, and I would have loved to have been in that.
One of the big games out at the moment that's being really valued for its acting is Baldur's Gate 3, and a lot of the acting for that was motion captured as well as voices being recorded. I don't know, have you ever had to do any motion capture work?
No, luckily I've had a lot where they would do a lot of the characters that I do don't really need motion capture. That's when they're kind of capturing the essence of the actor, and they want it to kind of follow the actor's movements very perfectly.
Yeah.
Most of the characters I do are kind of outlandish characters where you really don't need that. They'll quite often run a camera where they're videotaping you so they can get facial expressions, but it's not actually motion capture.
It's not like pinpoint.
And so I haven't had to do that actually. So
would you ever do it?
In Yakuza, which I did a new game this last year.
Oh, yeah.
With Detective Date. I can't even remember the name of the game. It's not even out yet. And I don't know if it's been announced or anything, but I will be making another appearance sometime as that character.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I mean, and going back to Goofy, obviously because it's such an iconic role, do you ever get some kind of surprising interactions from kind of fans or even celebrity interactions, because it's a role that everybody knows, but obviously people may not know your face, that it's connected with the voice.
Yeah, that's what's nice. I'd say that I'm not famous, but Goofy is, and I get to hang around with him. I always tell this story that probably a thing that really struck me was I got to meet the boxer champion of the world, Mohammed Ali. Wow. When he was down in Florida many, many years ago. And I got introduced to him, and I, said, oh gosh, it's a big thrill to meet you. I mean, my God. And he said, oh, I love Goofy, but do you ever talk to kids in hospitals? And I said, yes, from time to time. The Make-A-Wish Foundation, Famous Phone Friends, call up sick kids, talk to them when they want to talk to Mickey or Donald or Goofy or something. We do that on occasion. And he goes, man, then you're my hero, and shook my hand. Oh. And that was such a simple thing, but it was so important to me because I realized, there's a lot more power with these characters than you think, because I'm in a room with a microphone and that's about it, and a script. and I don't know what they do with the voices until I see it animated later on. And I don't know the effect it has on people. But when I go to Comic Cons, of which I'm doing one, I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Columbus, Ohio to a Comic Con. And when I meet the fans, quite often they'll say to me, you know, a Goofy movie came out and I couldn't talk to my dad, but that really strengthened our relationship. So it did a lot of good. And these little stories that I have no idea about, it's just nice to hear that it does mean something. And I try not to ever forget that when I'm doing the voice, that, yeah, this is important to a lot of people out there.
I mean, it definitely is. I loved a Goofy movie. I watched it with my dad, and we were singing along to the songs and everything. It's just, I think it's just, the warmth you bring to the character as well. I don't know if it's, you were talking about it kind of changing over the years as well, and having to put more kind of thought into it as you continue. But I mean, I don't know what you think it is about the character that had a lot of people such joy for. A lot of people just love Goofy.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either, but like, it's like, well, Mickey Mouse is the longest running talking animated character. He was number one with Walt Disney's voice. That was like 1928, and they're still on TV every day. So they got it right.
Yeah.
Walt got it right there in the early. So I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. You just kind of keep doing it, and they hit upon a formula that worked. And these characters, I think, everyone says, "Oh yeah, my dad is Goofy," or I did a Goofy thing. People can relate to the characters. They can relate to Donald flying off the handle, getting mad at things, and Goofy's kind of happy-go-lucky guy. He'll just, fall off a mountain and pick himself up and keep going with a smile on his face. And I think they react to that optimism and Mickey's, groundedness and just good guy personality. It seems to resonate with people, and always has.
Now, I'll be impressed if you can still remember many of the lines from Sam and Max, with it being 30 years ago. But I was wondering if you had a favorite line as Sam, maybe, and if you could
Oh,
say it
I
as
think
him.
it was when they were going through the guys. He was the country singer, and they had paintings on the wall of some of his famous albums. And there was one that cracked me up. It says, and here's Conroy Bumpus was the name of the guy, the character. And here's Conroy Bumpus's great hit, "Let's Get Drunk and Shoot Things." I just love that. I remember breaking up, and I had to do that line several times because it cracked me up.
I was going to say, yeah, it must be hard sometimes, when there's such funny lines like that to deliver them and be able to like just
It can
hold.
take a while sometimes.
Tell us a little bit about the company you've got where you're helping train voice actors.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing in just a few minutes here. We
Excellent.
have a
I won't keep
client
you in that
coming in
case.
who's doing their animation demo today. And my son, who's a professional drummer and an audio engineer, and I have a company called toonhouse.com, TOONHOUSE, .com. And you can see some of the demos that we've created for people. And I'm so proud to say that our very first demo that we do is a girl who is Caitlin Robrock, who is now the voice of Minnie Mouse. So she's gone on to do great things. And we have several that have gone on to great success in the voiceover background. And it's also fun working with my son,
Yeah.
getting to do a job with him that we both like. And he's doing the heavy lifting. I just direct. And we've been doing that for a few years together. And it's just a great deal of fun. And you need a good demo. That's one of the main things you do need if you're an aspiring voice actor. And lessons and acting lessons is what I would say to most people that would ask. Yeah, because whether it's acting with a microphone in front of you or a camera, it's the same thing, just slightly different techniques for each medium.
What makes a good demo to you?
Well, it has to show in, now they're getting shorter and shorter. An
Mm.
animation demo may be only 90 seconds long, but it has to show talent. It has to show versatility. And most of all, that you can inhabit a character and make it real.
Mm.
Because there's doing voices, and then there's becoming this character and being the real character. And it's a subtle but an important difference. Teaching animation is kind of like teaching golf. You can tell someone what to do in 5 seconds, like golf. Hit the little white ball a couple of 100 yards into that hole. There you go. I've explained golf. Doing it is a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
Doing the work and learning the techniques can take years and years or a lifetime to really learn. But the more you learn, the more you know, and the better you'll be, because the odds are against you in this business. In LA alone, there's over 200,000 Screen Actors Guild members. And on any given week, maybe 5,000-10,000 jobs for actors. So on any given week, a lot of out of work actors. You've got to be very competitive and not take it to heart either. You got a lot of rejection. You just got to get used to it.
And sort of coming off that, I guess I'd be interested to hear your thoughts a little bit about the whole artificial intelligence topic that's looming over everybody's heads at the moment. So what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, it's probably the most important facet of the Screen Actors Guild, because I've had people send me, oh, we did you're goofy saying this in AI. But if you think about it, if you're buying you could buy a picture of like the Mona Lisa and put it on your wall, but it's not the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's one real thing. And my son, who's a drummer, was explaining it in that, there's drum machines that can keep perfect time, but it's not real. Mm-hmm. It's not organic. And at least at the present time, the AI doesn't sound as good as a real actor. Now, that may get better over time, and it certainly could take a lot of our jobs as performers. And a lot of things about it are scary. I saw the movie The Terminator, and there you go. That's talking about AI gone wrong. We hope it doesn't get to that. But it just, you don't want to take away, anyone's living if you don't need to. And especially art done by machine and non-real people just kind of lacks something, I guess I hearken back to the old 2D animation mostly. It just has a warmth that is not in CGI. And just seeing the talent of an artist drawing a character and then bringing it to life through animation, there's something special there. And I hope we never lose that.
Yeah, amen to that. Definitely. Is there anything else you're working on at the moment, or any kind of projects you're doing?
I have all sorts of things. I have a series which hadn't even been, I don't think, announced yet, so I can't talk about it. But I did a couple of cartoons yesterday. I did. I guess I could mention this. Let me see. I did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade recently. There was a Disney float. I talked in that. I'm doing a thing for New Year's with Ryan Seacrest, the Disney characters. We get to do the countdown to midnight.
Amazing.
So check that out. And there's always more cartoons all the time.
Yeah.
And we're doing the ones that'll probably be animated and out about a year from now. So,
wow.
So there's at least a year's worth of stuff that is coming out.
Right. So lots to look forward to then. Oh, amazing stuff. I might, if it's all right with you, I was just going to get you, if it's possible, just to, as Goofy, maybe just say hi to my channel, or my on YouTube I'm called Cressup. So CRESSUP. I don't know if maybe just something like hi Cressup, or I don't know, something like that. If it was possible to do,
I can do that as me. I can't do that as Goofy because it's endorsing a product, and that's one thing that Disney says, don't do that in these interviews.
That must be different, because I bet you get a lot of people asking for that, and you have to be quite firm.
You do, and I understand that, and that's unfortunately one that gets into the whole legal thing, and you got to talk to Disney about that, and
and then they'll be saying, why is Goofy endorsing this?
Right.
That must be. Is it quite unusual then for people to recognize you when you're walking around, even if do people hear your voice?
Yeah, more so, people do recognize me from time to time.
Okay.
And especially at Comic Cons, they're the fans, and the fans do know. When I'm at Disneyland or Disney World, I get recognized on a fairly regular basis. But still, that's one of the blessings of this job is that people know Goofy, they don't know me. And so you can kind of go under the radar a lot of times. I don't have to dress up and look great to go to the grocery store. And other times when you see celebrities, they're a lot of them are like uptight about that. You'll meet a celebrity or something, and then they find out you're in the business, then they relax, like, oh, I can be me. I don't have to be that image that everyone talks about.
Well, I mean, it just sounds like you've got it all down to a T, Bill. It sounds like you've got a great life, and you've led a great life. And I just I really appreciate you having a chat with me, because it's just a great it's a fabulous career you've had, and it's just really fascinating to hear about it. So thank you.
Well, I thank you so much. And yeah, I'm certainly past now, I'm past retirement age, and people always say, when are you going to retire? And I say, why would I retire from the funnest job ever?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it as long as I can still talk like Goofy or any other character.
And long may you continue. I think we all want you to continue for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And yes, looking forward to all those other projects you speak about. I'll definitely check out the New Year's Counting Down. That sounds really fun.
Well, then we'll see you real soon.
Bye.